So we do have good police out there as well.
Well, I'm not condemning the police. I'm talking about the chief of police.
No, absolutely. We're trying to see.
The chief of police is no longer a peace officer. He's become a politician who can easily be bribed by other politicians.
Well, looking at this case specifically, I've had some constitutional law scholars on. I've researched it. I mean, this is blatantly illegal to have secret police running around getting people's leases pulled and threatening them and stuff.
Well, I think that there's an act of desperation going on in America, and I think that some of these folks who are trying to destroy America fear for their own safety, and they fear that they're going to fail at their goal to bring America under their heel. There's no other excuse for what's going on. And as we all know, the history of gun control has made it very possible for dictators to target people they don't like and then ultimately murder them. But there's one other thing I would suggest that people do. We have a free film on our website, Alex. It's called No Guns for Negroes. And I think that it shows that it's a documentary about the racist roots of America's gun control laws. I think people need to start showing the racism that is so perverse throughout the federal government, especially the ATF. People need to see these jackbooted thugs as a bunch of damn racists.
Well, the federal government operates as if blacks aren't allowed to own guns. I mean, with knock and talk going on in Texas and everywhere else where they come and knock and want to inspect your guns with no warrant, no probable cause, door to door. But in black areas of the country, it's been on the news, they just force their way in.
Well, you see, but you have to understand something. This film covers about 100 years ago in Georgia where the U.S. military was going door to door, taking guns from blacks. That's being talked about today in America. So that's why I encourage people to watch the film, because it'll give them a history lesson that they can share with others and give all the other gun owners in Texas a good poke in the ribs and tell them to wake up as to what's going on. The one thing a government fears is an armed citizenry that's ready to rebel, or else they wouldn't be so darn concerned about gun control. So again, if I can encourage people to come watch the free film, No Guns for Negroes at jpfo.org, and you're certainly free to put it on your site if you want, Alex.
Sure.
That, in other words, we need to get people watching this and learning more about the racist roots of America's gun control laws, the danger of gun control. And also that film shows it gives more details about the racial fear that inspired the 68 Gun Control Act, where Tom Dodd used the Nazi gun control laws to create federal law. It is now, they gave incredible power to the BATF.
I want you to tell...
Need to start connecting the dots, Alex. They do it real quick.
Well, there's no longer any denial. We have most of the czars in the White House. We have the Attorney General arguing in federal court in D.C. a year and a half ago that he believes in a total abolition of Second Amendment ownership. And then they tried this double game of saying, we don't want your guns. We don't want your guns. We just want to legally restrict them, which means total ban. Now they've got all the bills introduced. And I agree with you, though. They're getting desperate because the national polls show 25, 30 years ago, 50-50 pro-Second Amendment. Now it's 70, 80%. The pro-gun culture of liberty really is gaining ground in the minds of men and legislatively. So they're just going the backdoor regulatory way.
Well, again, I think we need to make personal lives very public of those people who have a hand in this.
I want you to talk to the gun show operator who's now, they've just totally canceled it. They just say, sorry, it's over. The police say, the BATF says they're God, and why they're so bold. But briefly, you have great little comic books for kids that explain the Second Amendment, and you tell the story in there that people can look up of Athens, Tennessee, the Battle of Athens. Yes,
it's funny you bring that up. It seems like a lot of people want to forget it, but I don't. Now, right after World War II, American veterans who had been living in Tennessee before they went into the war came back to Athens, Tennessee, which is in McMinn County, Tennessee. And their families have been writing to them about the jackbooted thugs who had become the political machine, who were destroying people's freedom, who were locking people up on false charges, who were denying the vote to people. And the veterans decided to get together and they started their own political party called the GI Party. And the GI Party challenged the existing political machine. And it was quite a day for voting because the political machine went in and stole the ballot boxes, even shot a poll watcher, and trying to tell the people, we're going to have fair elections. You can't trust the GI Party. Turns out the criminals from the political machine held up in the sheriff's jail. And what ensued after that was the GI Party getting together other GIs who had experience in explosives, blowing the door off the jail, an 8-hour shootout with the sheriff and his thugs. Same thing as your police chief and his thugs. And they all surrendered, and finally the GI Party took over the political system, and they brought some justice back to McMinn County, to Athens, Tennessee. The entire story of the Battle of Athens, Tennessee is on our website at jpfo.org, and there's not only our article, but other articles that appeared in other publications.
And notice
what we're saying.
And notice when people stood up, the state didn't come in and arrest them because it was a citizen's arrest of an unlawful criminal government.
Well, in fact, the criminal politicians called the governor asking him to send in the National Guard. And the governor informed he wasn't about to send in the National Guard to shoot it out with veterans who had just returned from World War II. So the government told them, the governor said, sorry, guys, you're on your own here. And they were booted out of office. And, of course, then the GI Party took over.
But that was back when this country...
brought back to McMinn County.
But that's why this country was once free, because men who weren't looking for trouble wouldn't let their children be slaves. How have we gotten this attitude of being slaves? I mean, how do we turn into this?
Well, I'm not sure I have the total answer, Alex, but a lot of it has to do with people just getting fat, dumb, and happy, and not paying attention to the lack of knowledge that should be distributed in the public school system. And we've raised 2 generations now of people that really don't appreciate the history of America and the blood and guts that's been spilled to make America America. We also have people who have become, again, fat, dumb, and happy, and they want the government to do things for them. And every time you give that much power to the government destroys freedom because the government fears freedom.
Aaron Zelman, I want to shift gears and talk to Darwin Boedecker, who operates the show and has now had his livelihood destroyed just because the police say so and the BATF and Obama say so. Any comments or advice you've got for Darwin, who's online with us right now?
Well, Darwin, I think that you've got to stand tall. You've got to really tell others about the situation. You've got to create a grassroots fire, a tea party, so to speak, of your own, to get, there must be a couple of million gun owners in Texas, and get them damn hopping mad, and so that the powers to be are going to feel the heat, so that you can put the powers on the run.
Obama calls us bitter clingers because we cling to our Bibles, which is, moral, and our guns. Well, that's really your freedom of religion, your freedom of speech, your freedom to defend yourself. Of course we cling to it. It's all we've got left in America.
Well, I think those are the 3 things that are worth fighting for. And I think that, as we say at JPFO, the time has come in America for people to decide if they are willing to live by God's law, where human beings are commanded to defend their lives and help others, or if we're now ready to die from man's law and have no freedom at all.
But that's what George Washington said.
God's law and man's law.
Well, that's what George...
We've got to instill this thought amongst people.
Well, that's what George Washington said over and over again. He said, look, this is tyranny. I'm not going to live on my knees as a slave.
Well, apparently you've got some folks in Texas and gun owners throughout America that don't seem to give a damn. And so you got to find out why.
Well, people are hopping mad. Going back to Darwin. Darwin, you're seeing huge grassroots anger right now, aren't you?
Absolutely. The flood of